Hello and welcome to the wheel world, and welcome to the London Concours. And as you can see behind me, there are some incredible cars from history, lovely restorations, and I thought I'd take you around some highlights and show you some of my favourite cars here. Okay, and we begin with this incredible selection of Lamborghini Miura. I mean, seeing one of these is a privilege, but we've got all the divisions of Miura. So this is a P400. It's the original design, the original clean look with the eyelashes, you can see. Bizzarini V12, mounted transversely. And we have this, which is a Miura SV, one of the most desirable Miuras, and you can see it hasn't got the eyelashes on the front, but the most awesome feature for me is those wider rear wheels. I mean, if you look at this as a standard Miura S, the difference, I mean, they're just filling those rear arches, and it's got a little bit more power. So the extra rubber on the ground helps put that power down. Oh man, just look at these. The original mid-engine supercar for many. And this then is the Miura Yota. And this is often regarded as the daddy of all Miura because it was modified for FIA regulations by Bob Wallace, who was the Lamborghini test driver. And I mean, you can see the weight saving measures here. We've got the plexiglass, you've got the lovely wider wheels on the rear, the plexiglass over the headlights, and this weighed nearly 400 kilos less than the standard Miura, which is that. I mean, that looks pretty Spartan, doesn't it, anyway? And this is 400 kilos less. And yeah, these are the daddy. A little bit more power as well. Looks fantastic. Probably not as pure as the original design, but still, I mean, look at these quad pipes here. Awesome stuff. Right, and this, as I'm sure you know, is an Aston 177. And seeing this in the flesh, I just had to include it because just look at this styling. I mean, look at that rear arch. How that line, how it swells at the back there. It's so awesome. And you've got these actually do something unlike modern cars. These vents, they vent heat out of the 7.3 litre V12. 750 horsepower through these rear tyres. And look at this diffuser blown by the exits there of the exhaust. It's just a lovely, lovely thing. Through an automated manual. And if you see a 177, you have to look through the rear window and you can see the suspension there, the inboard shocks. Amazing stuff. You can see this influenced the later Vanquish in the design of the dash. It's just so special. It still has Ford Fiesta indicator stalks, but we'll gloss over that. But yeah, all carbon obviously. And just look at that engine bay. That is pure artwork, isn't it? That carbon structure, how that forms part of the induction system, as you can see. Those inboard springs and dampers with the remote reservoir. Just a lovely thing. And now we've got this lovely little Lancia B20 GT. And this is an Outlaw, as you can see from the chopped down roof, to give it that sleek look. And I mean, Lancia of this era, I know I bang on about it, but this is a really good restoration. You can just see the quality of everything. Even the little script here, the little hubcaps, everything is just gorgeous on this car. Lovely restoration. And you can see inside, obviously this is not original, all being restored to the customer's spec. But yeah, you can just see lovely little details. These are hot property right now, these things. This is an Aston Cygnet, and this was a weird little car made by Aston based on a Toyota IQ. They charged 30 grand for retrimming the interior and a few different styling tweaks, but this is no ordinary Cygnet, as you can probably see by these crazy arch extensions and these wheels from a V8 Vantage, because out of there comes the sound of a 4.7 litre 430 horsepower V8. And in a car as short and as wide as this, I mean, it'd spin on a top, wouldn't it? What a crazy thing this must be to drive, but so cool that it's here. And this thing needs no introduction. 288 GTO. It looks absolutely insane. It's only when you see one in the flesh do you see the wider front track and the wider rear track and all the little details, the gills on the rear that separate it from the 308 at the time. And you peer through here, you see the twin turbo 2.9 litre V8. 400 horsepower, and that's turbocharged horsepower through those poor rear tyres. Look at that. And always with the 288 GTO, you can see the gearbox casing at the rear there exposed. Fantastic thing, predecessor to the F40, and I think probably the better looking of the two. Amazing thing. Wow, I didn't know Iron Man was a fan of the 250 TDF. Learn something new every day. Okay, I wouldn't usually go over a LaFerrari. That sounds a crazy thing to say, but this car's a bit special because it belongs to Max Chilton, who is the greatest F1 driver to ever live, if you can remember him. But yeah, obviously 6.3 litre V12, 963 horsepower hybrid drive through those rear tyres. Crazy, crazy car. Sounds incredible. I've heard a few of them. 9,000 RPM. Probably my favourite of the Holy Trinity, as they call it. Just because it's so raw. It's like an old racing car in the way that you just steer it on the throttle and just hang on to the thing. Looks great as well. I'm not sure about the colour though. And there's a Jag Project 7 over here, but for the time being, I'm going to ignore it because that is next to it. This is a Jag XJR-15. And there are only, what, like 50 of these around? Naturally aspirated V12, proper V12, not the V6 of the XJ220. First production car made fully out of carbon fibre. Special thing. Right, so if you know your Lamborghini Countach, you know that this, the 5000 Quattro Valvole, is the road-going Countach to have. 450 horsepower with the 6 Weber carbs, downdraft. And I mean, just look at it. This is the one with the arch extensions. Pirelli P7s all around in this one, which is what you want in one of these. And these, I mean, they're 345 in section. So if you look at this, that just looks crazy wide, doesn't it? I know modern cars, some modern cars have wider tyres than that these days, like the Chiron and stuff like that, but back in the day, I mean, that view, you can tell this has the carbs because of that power hump on the rear deck there. Just an amazing design. Not quite as pure as the LP400s, but still, I mean, so crazy. Love those wheels as well, those Oz wheels. Right, this may be an unpopular opinion, but a Series 1 fixed head E-Type, I'm not that much of a fan of the styling. I mean, firstly, if you look at these rear wheels, they look so inboard of the car. It just looks odd, and I mean, the side profile just reminds me a bit of a snail, but the owner might be close by, so I don't want to down torque it too much. But yeah, some lovely straight six, lovely engine at least. Triple SU carbs, lovely skinny tyres. Probably really nice to drive as well, probably really delicate and probably slides around, but not really for me. Okay, and this mad looking thing is an F40 LM. And this thing, released in 1990, when privateers wanted to race an F40 at Le Mans. This developed 700 horsepower from a twin-turbo V8. 700 back in those days. 230 mile an hour car. I mean, it's pure motorsport, isn't it? Look, they've just cut the standard wing of the F40, bolted this one here. You got the angle of attack here, adjustment. Just a crazy, crazy thing. I mean, look at the size of those intercoolers. Not the prettiest race car, but mightily impressive. Right, Citroens of this era are becoming a bit of an unhealthy obsession of mine. I mean, it's not my type of car, obviously, but I just love the styling and the engineering of this thing. This is a DS23, and I mean, it's on hydro pneumatic self-leveling suspension in the 60s. I mean, just look in there, it just looks so well built. I mean, what have Citroen done these days to drift from this kind of design? First production car with all-round disc brakes as well. Looks like a snail, doesn't it? But I think it's so cool. It's a love or hate car, and I think it's awesome. Right, and this was one of the cool cars from my childhood when I didn't know much about cars. This is the SLR 722. And the SLR, when it came out, I mean, it was quite a confused car, wasn't it? 5-speed automatic, weighed over 1,700 kilos, but it was sold as this sporting GT. I mean, it looks fabulous, doesn't it? And this 722 spec has, I think, something like 25 bhp more than standard, a bit more downforce, about 50 kilos less weight. in an attempt to bring it over to the sporty side of sporting GT. And I think it looks awesome. Still not the most sorted supercar of its era. Stuff like the Carrera GT has to take it for me, but still really cool to see it here. Okay, so a bit of an oddball this one. This is an Grifo 365, so it's got a Chevy V8 5.4 litre and 355 horsepower. As you can see, it's quite clearly a mix of Italian design, that svelte Italian Giugiaro-like design, designed by Bertoni, of course, but with that big fat American V8 in it. So it's an unusual mix. And this is a bit geeky here, but if you look at these rear tail lights, you might recognize them from an Alfa GT Junior, because obviously a lot of parts were interchangeable back in those days. Yeah, lovely thing, lovely to see it here. But if I was to take one car out of all of these on a bumpy British B road to truck around, it would be this thing, the Mark I Golf GTI. It's the purest essence of the hot hatch. Unassisted steering, manual box, lightweight, small dimensions, designed by Giugiaro. And yeah, just be more fun than anything else here, I think, on a bumpy little British B road. So that's my highlight. That's good. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at the London Concours, and let me know what your favourite car is in the comments. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.